I was awoken the following morning with the sound of a whistle and a grated old voice. "Well, looks like you two are getting along. Nice and cozy, I'd say," Al said as I began to open my eyes, hearing his voice. What are you talking about?" I said groggily, as I started to take stock of the situation and realized that Emily was very comfortably curled up into my lap, arms wrapped around me, all the way around under my jacket, her legs overlapping one of mine, and her head resting comfortably on my chest. What is it?" Emily started to say as she jostled around a bit, before her eyes sprung open and she realized the position she was in, looking up to me, raising her head from its comfortable resting place on my chest. Morning?" she said, giving me a somewhat nervous expression, as suddenly she started to check herself over, checking to ensure that all of her clothes were on. As she saw that they were, she breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, I didn't do anything stupid," Emily said, putting her hand on the top of her head. "But my head says otherwise. I thought you two looked quite nice sleeping. Drax's brainwaves were quite interesting in your presence." Titan's voice rang out. "What?" I replied, turning around to look at Titan's frame. "What do you mean, my brainwaves?" "Yes, your brainwaves were abnormally active, much more so than when you sleep regularly. Your hormonal balance was actually improved. Your neural pathways showed a pattern of calm, ease, and comfort. Despite the fact that you were asleep, I sensed elevated levels of what I would describe as contentment. The patterns were actually quite soothing to me. Normally when you sleep, your patterns are often quite erratic, as if you're not truly feeling restful, almost as if you've barely gotten to sleep, ready to spring awake at any moment. But the massive increase in calm and the pleasant wavelength of emotions was most definitely a pleasant change. Why do you not sleep with Emily more often? It seems quite beneficial." Al said, laughing. "What did I tell you? Called it." "Hey, don't start giving me that crap, old man. We just had a few drinks and happened to pass out together. Nothing happened. Hey, more than one thing can happen when a man and a woman sleep together, if you get my drift. It's not always about just making whoopee, kid. I can tell you from first-hand experience, there's absolutely no better sleep than sleeping with the warmth of a woman, one that actually means something to you. There's a certain kind of connection to it. It sort of reaches the core of a man." "Don't get your lines crossed, old man," Emily said, as she struggled to get to her feet for a moment, still rubbing her head a bit. "I didn't touch anyone's core. No cores were touched." Al just smiled at her, a half-burnt cigarette in his mouth. "You sure about that? I'd say you looked pretty damn comfortable there, all cuddled up. That kind of closeness, especially when it comes from women, doesn't come without some emotional strings, some trust with the one you're sleeping with. At this point, I kind of wish you had a robot attached to your brain too. I bet it could tell us all sorts of interesting things." Al replied, laughing once again. "Shut up," Emily replied, a slight flush on her face. "We're in the garage. We didn't have blankets. I was just cold, okay? Can we just move on? We got drunk and passed out. You act like it's a world-changing event. Yeah, whatever you say, Al replied. The only reason I found you two down here is because I was planning on taking a look at the garage. All of the new equipment has arrived. I was actually surprised that we had new equipment, but apparently, orders from the owner of Biotech had a large amount of things shipped here, and we needed to find a comfortable place for them. Because this is an assload of tech. I'm talking everything. You should see the front yard, it's ridiculous. So that stuff showed up, did it? I said, pulling myself to my feet. Well, that's good. We can finally get to work. Finally? We just got here, Al replied. Geez, I thought you were gonna have us take a few days off. I'm starting to miss being the boss already. I'm an old man, kid. I need downtime. Relax, Al. I'm not gonna have you doing all the heavy lifting. I'm sure I can handle most of it, especially if Danny's willing to throw in and help. The only question is how helpful the doctor's gonna feel like being. Regardless, I think our first order of business should be a complete rework of Titan. What? You gotta be kidding me. We just got finished building her. Yeah, I know, Al, I replied, reaching into my pocket and grabbing out a pack of cigarettes and lighting one up. But we built her in the Yellow District, when we didn't have access to the finest and most up-to-date technology available. And now we have a direct line access to Biotech's most advanced weapons and computer systems. The best of everything. Stuff that is too good to even be able to sell. Stuff that hasn't hit the market yet. Experimental tech. The level of options is, quite frankly, absurd. I tried looking through a little bit of the list last night, and quite frankly, even with a super brain, it makes my head spin just trying to think about it. So many different variations, so many possibilities. For example, I could get a set of that armor that the Angel was equipped with. You know, the energy armor? The I'm unfucking touchable armor? Yeah, I could totally have some of that stuff. And more. I have got a lot, and I do mean a lot of work to do. Our first move, of course, is going to be bringing Titan up to full swing. By the time we're done, we're going to make the tech that we went into the race with look antique. But that's only step one, so that I can be prepared. We also need to get cracking on some other things, like security measures, and picking out some weapons for the rest of you. Hell, we could get you guys some state-of-the-art armor. Make you guys damn near bulletproof. That'd be a trick. Hell, it'd be a trick just to see you get out of those overalls and into something else. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen you wear anything else. The overalls is almost part of your appearance now. Don't you ever change? Yeah, don't give me that crap, kid. I change every day. Well, hold a minute. If you change every day, then that means you have more than one set of overalls that sells all Al's Auto on it. How many of those do you have? Enough, kid. Enough. And you can scrap the idea of me putting on some body armor. No fucking way. Way too old for that tactical bullshit. I wouldn't say no to a nice piece, though. Something sleek and shiny to keep on my hip. Make me feel like a gunslinger in the Old West. Now that's what I'm talking about. Exactly what is the Old West? Titan said. And a gunslinger. This implies that they are throwing the projectile weapon, which seems odd considering that the weapon shoots projectiles. Wouldn't this be counterproductive? It's just a turn of phrase, Titan, I replied. You need to learn to not take everything as literal. Human beings tend to use turns of phrase, make nuanced statements, and there are multiple different kind of statements that have strange implications. They usually tend to be based around historical events, in which somebody coined a specific type of phrase to mean a certain kind of thing that is different than it sounds or that it suggests. Well, now that we're in Newgate City, I suppose we could find you some information databases. Update your knowledge a bit. Having to continue to explain humans to you is gonna be time-consuming. It'd be nice if you could at least understand basic vernacular.